Have you figured out your niche? Are you helping adding value to other people's lives? Then you're in the right place. Welcome to Munira's Musings with your host, Munira Zahabi.
Greetings from Chicagoland. This is Munira with a special edition of Munira's Musings with a special guest, a doctor who is turned into a coach. How does that even happen? We are going to find out. But before we do, let's tell you a little bit about myself. I am Munira Zahabi, and I run this show, Munira's Musings, and I am your niche navigator, where I help people find and navigate to their niche. There's a lot of issues right now in the world. People are scared, people are tired with what they have, and jobs are in jeopardy. So if you're one of those people and you want to really figure out what you do, I take your skills, I repurpose them, help you repurpose your skills and find something that you love. So if that's somebody that you are, go ahead, connect with me. But without further ado, let us talk to a physician doctor who is turned into a coach. So Dr. Wasim, thank you so much for being here. So should I call you doctor or do I call you Wasim?
You can call me Wasi, that's fine. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
You're welcome.
I was just sharing the live stream with my audience while you were giving me the intro there, but I'm really excited to be here, really honored to be here. I know we set this up a while back, and I think it was actually a month or two ago when we set this up. I think it was more than 2 months ago. So you're a busy lady, but I'm honored to be here and get a spot here. And let's have some fun and teach some people something valuable that they can take away from this.
That is perfect. Before we do that, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're calling from, if you have a dog, if you have a kid, if you want to share anything private, let's know about you.
Well, I am from Houston, Texas, and I normally don't ever wear glasses. I always wear contact lenses, but I've been wearing glasses for the past couple of weeks because
Why?
I had some issues with my contact lenses, so I thought I'd share that with the audience. And I was born in Fort Worth, Texas, raised pretty much in Houston all my life. I went to medical school, became an MD, became a physician, and throughout that whole journey, I realized as much as patient care would be great and amazing, I realized coaching and really helping people create results, especially using their mind and emotions, was what I really wanted to do. Sales and marketing also really interested me, so I combined the both of them. I went all in with coaching last year. I was able to make $10,000 my first month as a coach as I launched. It was incredible, life-changing. I was able to quit my 9-to-5 job. And here I am today, almost a year later. I've helped hundreds of students, hundreds of clients also make money as coaches starting out so that they can create massive transformation for the clients that they want to help and create businesses that give them financial freedom. And so that's what I do on a day-to-day basis. And yeah, anything else, I'm happy to answer. Oh, I have no pets, no kids yet. And I'm enjoying my life, grateful to God for all the blessings and happy to be here.
So awesome, right? No, it was just a joke about your pets and
yeah.
Don't like to know all those things. That's TMI. But here's the thing: is like you decided so you became a physician. You did
Yes.
graduate. You are a physician.
Yes.
And that's what's really intriguing because most people, especially the Indian Pakistani culture, their kids are destined to be either engineers, doctors, or in IT. And all of those people, and I'm not stereotyping people, but our lives are already predestined with the minute you're born. And if you don't believe it, watch Three Idiots, right? The movie. So here's the thing: when you finished school, and I mean, why didn't you go into psychology, or why didn't you decide to impact people through medicine? Because you want to change their lives, medicine changes lives.
It totally does. And you know what's interesting is that a lot of people told me I should go into psychiatry. A lot of people said that. And I considered it, I thought about it. But the world of coaching was so fascinating for me because when I was first introduced to Tony Robbins, who most people will know is considered one of the world's biggest life coaches, my mind exploded when I saw what he does, how he impacts people's lives. how, you know, he's helped millions of people. And so I knew that the impact that I wanted was something at that level. And I knew that with medicine, I could have a certain career, but I wanted to do so much more. And also, you know, being respectful of all physicians, a lot of my family members are extended family, relatives, all my best friends, most of my best friends are physicians as well. Being respectful to all of them, and you know, they enjoy what they do. It was just something where I started to see that I may not enjoy doing this my whole life. And I knew that for me, you know, being within the confines of medicine and the way things are run, the rules, the regulations, insurance, like all those things, I just knew it wasn't going to serve me. And I was thinking about the future, 10 years from now, 15 years from now, where do I want to be? How do I want to be impacting people? And also for me, I didn't want to cap on my salary or income. The idea of being an entrepreneur, having my own business, being able to create my own money was fascinating for me, because no one had ever told me in my life that I could, you know, create my own money, right, with this God-given brain, that I could have my own business or be an entrepreneur in this way. I never knew that it was possible. When I realized it was possible and that medicine didn't have to be the only route I had to take to help people and to be financially free, my brain again exploded. I said, wow, right? And it was one of the hardest decisions I had to make in my life, because, you know, even if I chose not to practice full time, most people will go into pharmaceuticals or research, or they'll do all sorts of other things. And for me, I just was so fascinated with coaching. The personal development coaching bug bit me. And once it did, it's just never left my system. And also the idea of entrepreneurship has always just fascinated me. I love the idea of us being able to create our own wealth using our own God-given brains. And so I wanted to do that in my own life and then teach other people how to do it, to be an example of what's possible. And so for me, it's what lights me up. And so it was an easy decision for me internally, but outwardly it was a tough decision, because you develop an identity of who you are. I developed an identity being a physician. I developed an identity of being the guy who was a pre-med and then went to medical school and became a doctor. And so it's hard, like you said, especially around, you know, growing up in South Asian culture here, you know, there's level of expectations. And so I had to go through those identity crises myself. I had to face people, let them know what I wanted to do. In the beginning, everyone's going to think you're a little crazy, you're a little weird. They're going to tell you to go do something, like get a real career, get a real job. And they're all going to say that out of love, you know, because they care about you. Other people will just literally think you're crazy. But when you believe in yourself, you have to believe in yourself. This is what I tell everyone. You have to believe in something in the future that does not yet exist so hard, and practice believing it every single day until you make it happen, until you manifest it. And that's when you'll get everybody else to believe in you and what you're doing. And that's exactly what I'm grateful to God I've been able to create, because in the beginning, no one will believe it until they see it. Now that people see my results, they see the money, they see the business I've created, they see the impact I'm making. That's when people are like, wow, like you did it, you know, and oh, like, you know, what you were talking about all this time, like now it makes sense, it clicks, right? And I think most people will stop in the beginning because they'll have that fear, they'll have that doubt. Other people around them, out of love, sometimes out of support, will feed into that fear and doubt, and they stop themselves from fulfilling their dreams. And I think that's such a big price to pay in this life.
So self-sabotage, right?
Totally. My first program, actually, my first webinar was how to stop self-sabotage. I remember it was the first webinar I ever did. It was the first hour of me as a coach selling something. I made $200 in that 1 hour. It was more than I've ever made in my life in 1 hour, $200. I think I just graduated from medical school as a student. And it was life-changing for me, you know? And I was like, wow, like this is possible. I can do this. I can help people and make money this way. It's amazing. My mind was blown. I knew if I could do it 200, I could do it 2,000 and 20,000 and 200,000 and beyond. Here I am.
So usually, so you're a different case, right? Because people who come to me on my show are just, they have hurdles and they have all this. I mean, you had something going for you. There was no like you lost your job or now you had to, you know, you went through divorce, or people come through these crossroads in life when, you know, you are hit with something. But you had everything going.
No, I didn't, right? So that's the thing. When people hear the word doctor, they think I had everything going, but I wasn't practicing at all, right? So in order to practice medicine, actually, what you have to do is you have to pass all of your board exams, then you have to do 3 years of residency minimum. Then if you want to specialize, you have to do more years of training. So I got my MD, and I passed my first 2 board exams, but there was one other step that I had left. And that's the one that I kept messing up on. I couldn't I couldn't overcome that last step because internally by then I was introduced to coaching. And I just knew that I didn't want to practice medicine full time anymore. And so I had this struggle. And so because I couldn't practice full time, like I've done surgeries, I removed 10 gallbladders, I've delivered babies. I've done a lot of stuff hands-on in medical school. My training was excellent in Chicago. But in terms of making money, I was not set. I did not have it all good at all, right? I was broke. I had hundreds of thousands of dollars in student loan debt that I couldn't pay off. I couldn't get a job because I still had to get the full license. I had to get into the residency to practice. And so I was at a crossroads really where I was struggling financially and I didn't know what to do. And I was trying to figure out like, where do I go? Like I had a lot of, I would say now looking back at it, right? Like hindsight's 2020. If I could go back and do things differently, of course we all would because we learn, but there were a lot of struggles there, and it wasn't an easy decision. It's not like I had a backup plan or anything. I didn't. I decided to go all in and I decided to make it work. And I think that's the reason why I was able to make it work was because when you give yourself no other option, when you don't have a backup plan, that's when you can go all in and commit and make it happen. I think when people have a cushion, when people have a security blanket, it's easy for us to make up excuses in our heads. It's easy for us to...
Sorry, but you're saying all into coaching.
Yeah, when I went all into coaching, and selling coaching, right? Like in the past, what I did was, even before I went all in on coaching last year, I would do it as a hobby because I was still kind of 50-50. My attention was split. I was like, oh, I still kind of want to do medicine or I should finish what I started. But my heart's telling me I really want to be a coach. And, there was a lot of confusion, unnecessary confusion and self-doubt, right? And fear, like you all feel, right? And that's what I help all my students on right now, right? Like they all deal with the same issues that I dealt with in the past. And I was able to master each one. And so I teach them how to overcome those faster and easier. But yeah, like when I went all in with coaching is when I decided, like, I'm not going to give myself another choice. And I set deadlines for myself. I said, I'm going to give myself this much time to make $10,000. Once I do that first month I make $10,000, I'm going to quit my 9-to-5 job. And that's exactly what I did. And after that, there was no guarantee that the second month I would make money.
You made a promise to yourself and you kept it.
Yeah, I made a promise to myself and I kept it. And at worst case scenario, I mean, when people talk about how I need to make money, it's like, especially before COVID and because when I launched, even now, it's like, you can find a job, like worst case scenario, even if you have to go work at Starbucks or do anything. Like I've never done that, but if I had to, I wouldn't mind doing that, right? Like I remember when I was studying for my medical board exams, I would take up random jobs, right? Like I'm sharing a lot of stuff with you here in this video because I want people to know the reality, the truth, the behind the scenes. There was a job I took up as a activity coordinator for like a kids center, right? I took up a front desk job, kind of like registration, kind of helping out the doctors over there at the emergency center. I wasn't actually seeing patients like as a physician, but while I was studying for my medical boards, I took on this job. It was like okay paying. It wasn't paying that much. It was a part-time job, but I was willing to take on these things so I could have a little bit of income coming in. And now if I completely failed at the coaching business, if it wasn't making money, then of course I wouldn't quit the job. Or if I did, I would just go find another job, keep working, set a goal, and until I can rely fully on my coaching income. Right? And that's going to happen from trial and error, but people first have to create the goals. They have to create the deadlines in their minds that, okay, I'm going to create this deadline for myself, this goal for myself, right? And if it doesn't work out, I'll just go find a job, work somewhere else until I can then quit my job and rely fully on the coaching business.
All right. So now, we could go on forever, right? This is such an interesting topic. But, I don't usually get doctors who've changed paths in life. So,
yeah, I'm the only one, right? I'm the special one.
I haven't, maybe there are others or people, I've met people who are physicians or pharmacists and then gone into the physician world. So things have happened and I'm not saying that that's wrong. What I'm saying is he's just an interesting person because from a physician to a coach, right? So when did you first hear Tony Robbins? And what was your timeline in making the first $10,000?
Yeah, so so here's the thing. I first heard of Tony Robbins back in April 2015 was when I first saw a video of his. My mind was blown. That's when I decided I really want to do this. I really want to try. I did my first webinar that September, I think it was September 30th, was that same year, 2015. That's when I made my first $200. After that, however, I decided that like I was going to apply for residency. I needed to take my last board exam. So I thought I need to get real, right? And what you're going to hear from the world also is that you need to like focus on like the career, establish that first, then do all this other stuff. So I completely stopped. I completely shut the business down, stopped doing things for coaching, kind of just made it like a hobby where I would just consume a lot of information. And then when I would study for medical board exams, I started posting some YouTube videos for fun, but it wasn't a business at all, right? It was kind of just like this dream I had that was festering inside of me. And so 2019 was when I really made the decision to go all in on coaching, like really to like start offering it, paying paid coaching to really help people to go all in and to figure it out, right? I didn't have any, I didn't have like, people always ask like, how is it that you're able to create such quick results? And the reason why was because I always tell people it's because I just believed that I could, I believed that I would, right? Like belief in our thoughts create our results. That's what I truly believe from our God-given brain. Like we have that ability to be mini creators. And so I believed I could do it and I did. And so October of 2019 was when I launched my coaching program. And that's when I made my first $10,000. And so because of that, I got a lot of recognition on Facebook. I was very, active on Facebook. I let people know about it. I was in programs. I got recognized by people like DrWasi, who gave me an award, flew me out to his place in Scottsdale, interviewed me, and then I became selected as a head trainer and speaker for Tony Robbins and DrWasi. And so that all happened around November and December of 2019. And that further helped me with my business and everything else, right? Just getting more and more exposure and getting out there. But like none of that would have happened if I didn't do the work, if I didn't do the work mentally and physically. Some people will tell me, it's amazing that like he noticed you and you got this interview, but how did he notice me? He didn't notice me because I was laying in bed, or he didn't notice me, because I was just being in my head about what I wanted to do, not do. He noticed me because I was out there. I was out there offering value. I was messing up. I was failing every day. I didn't know what the heck I was doing, but I was determined to figure it out. And when I did, and I had that $10,000 first month, that's when everyone was like, whoa, who's this guy, right? And I was able to get recognized because of the results I created by myself. And that's what I tell everyone is that if you want to get recognized by other people, you have to first start showing up when no one's paying attention. When I first showed up, no one paid attention. No one watched my videos. No one engaged. No one commented, right? But I didn't give up because I believed in what I was creating, right? I was willing to go through the fear, the rejection, the insecurity to get to that other place because I was looking forward to what's on the other side. I was committed to doing that. And so that's the message I want to have for everyone today is that like, no matter where you are, I know it can be a hard process sometimes. It's not always easy, but if you don't give up on yourself and your dream, no matter what, you will make it. And then things will start to happen for you. You will start to manifest opportunities that you couldn't even imagine or dream of.
No, and that's exactly what it is, right? It doesn't matter what field you are in. You could have been a coach and gone into physician training, right? And
yeah, totally. And that's what I tell people too, right? Like there's no right or wrong, right?
No,
like you can be a physician, go into coach, you can be a coach and decide to become a physician. Although I rarely see that happening. I know a lot of physicians now who are going into coaching. We're not going to get into that topic today, but there's so many different paths you can take. You need to realize though, you need to figure out what path do you want? Like in this life that we're given, what paths do you want to take to create those results for yourself? Because there's so many options available to you, right? For me, I knew that coaching was just something that resonated with my soul, and it's a choice I made, and I decided to commit. And like I always tell my students in my coaching program every single week, the paid program I have, I help them day in and day out with their businesses so they can create their own six-figure businesses. One of the things I always tell them is that I'm never going to give up on myself, ever, like for any reason, not for anyone else, not for any idea I have, not for any fear or self-sabotage or anything else, right? I'm so committed. I've developed a relationship with myself now where I've just decided I'm never going to give up on my goals and dreams, no matter what, no matter how many times I fail, no matter how many times I fall, I'm going to keep getting back up and trying. Because what's the alternative? The alternative is what? Just giving up and accepting defeat. Right? Like either way, there's going to be some pain and struggle like involved. So might as well go through the pain of growth and achieving your wildest dreams and seeing what the heck you can do with this life. It's such a better path.
True. And so I know we both were in KBB together. We're going to do World Summit tomorrow, and it's going to be huge, and I'm just so excited about all that. But here's the thing is like like you said, Dean says that there's so many people who invest in programs like this, but don't finish, right? So what do you have for advice for those people who are on the fence? Oh, it's never for me, or I've paid into it, but I haven't done anything.
Yeah. You're talking about my program or in general if they buy any course? If someone buys
any
okay.
course.
So for that all is 100% on you. It's on the person who's invested in the program. You know, you've been given the tools, right? But no one can come there and do the work for you, mentally or physically, right? Like that's just impossible. And I talked about the concept of how greed, right? I got this actually from one of my coaches, and it's the concept of how, you know, everyone wants to know the how. Tell me how to do it. Yeah, but tell me how to do it. Tell me how to do it. And it's one of those things where I can teach you 10 things, right? So a course creator can teach you 10 different things. Now it's up to you to do your part, meet us halfway, and then figure out the rest of the hows, right? Because for every single person, some of the hows are going to be a little different. Someone can teach you all the strategy in the world, but mentally, if you're not believing in your end goal and you're not willing to figure out a whole bunch of different hows to get there, that's going to be specific to you. There's no way you're going to get there. And so, you know, I think we also live in an age now where it's so much easier to consume. It feels so good. Like we feel like we're learning and we're accomplishing a lot when we're just consuming a course or consuming coaching, right? And I learn a lot too. I consume all the time, but I make sure that I equally create while I'm consuming. If I'm consuming half the time, I'm creating half the time. In fact, I think I actually create a lot more than I consume. And I think that is one of the successful traits of someone who's going to have a profitable coaching business. You're creating more than you're consuming, right? And so for people who buy something, who enroll into a program, it's on you. It's 100% on you, you know, because like there will be students, like I have seen people in programs where, you know, like two students start off at the same exact place, you know, and one of them just takes off and one of them is in the same place 1 year later, where the course material was exactly the same. So then what's the difference? The difference is that one of them decided to take the tools, take the course materials, and do something with it, right? They decided to believe in themselves. They decided to believe in a goal and then use that stuff to their advantage. Whereas the other person made excuses. They let the doubt, the fear, the rejection get to them, right? And it's so easy. Or they just sat there consuming the course, consuming the content, and thinking that they're doing something, but they're actually not. You're just consuming, right?
Or you think you're never going to be ready because, they created it. And for a long time, I had that where I was like, I wasn't ready. You know, I'm not ready.
You're never going to be ready. You're never going to be ready, right? Like, that's such a good point. You're never going to be ready. Like, I wasn't ready when I launched, right? Like, so the concept that I teach my students is the B- method, which is especially like, you know, in school, we're always taught to get straight A's and that failing is bad. As an entrepreneur and coach, you have to totally shift that. You have to be willing to fail every single day and try things every single day and then get better as you go along. And so what I teach is the B- method, which is we're not going for A+, we're not going for A-, we're not even going for B+. We're going for B-. Put out B- work into the world and see what happens. You can always change it, optimize it, improve it, edit it along the way as you get better and better, but be willing to put out B- work into the world. I'm not saying put out F work or D work or C work. B-, it's good enough, let's put it out. It's not perfect, let's put it out. Perfectionism is what holds so many people back, right? The fear of making sure it's right, or I'm not ready because I'm not perfect enough, or I don't know enough, or it's not good enough, right? How are you ever going to improve if you don't start putting yourself out there? When you put yourself out there, the market will respond. People will respond. Either you will get good responses or you'll get no responses or negative responses, and then you'll learn. Like every time you get a no, every time someone rejects you, you learn so much. Like I find that fascinating. The no's will help you learn so much more than the yeses, right? So like you will always feel like you're not ready. I always, like not always anymore, because I've gotten so used to just showing up and offering value. But in the beginning, I was not ready at all. Right? I didn't feel ready, but I thought, you know what? It's B-, like it's not perfect. I know I can sit here for 6 more months and try to make the video better or try to learn more, take in more content. But I was like, no, it's time to go. I set a deadline. It's B-. I'm putting it out to the world. Let's see what happens. And it worked. You know, I think people respect other coaches in this space who are willing to show up, even if it's a little messy or sloppy, or if it's not perfect. They respect them more because they see that at least they're putting themselves out there. They're showing up. They're willing to offer value and help, right? And those are the people that other people want to follow and learn from, right? Because they're doing something that they're not doing. They're showing up. They're getting over their fears and doubts and at least showing up, even if it's imperfect.
See, and that's the idea, because as a niche navigator, I see people sitting on sidelines. They have ideas that could change the world, and they're just sitting on the sidelines. They're not doing anything with it. And it really bothers me. And the fear they have, and forget the world. You have two little voices on your shoulder. One keeps saying, go. The other one is the stronger one says, who's going to buy it from you? It's a small voice, but it keeps self-sabotaging you. And so, what you're sharing today is amazing, because all these people need to hear that. I mean, you have started last year, and I've seen your progress, and you just, it's like amazing. So that's why I wanted you on my show here. Share this story with me, because a physician turned into a coach. How does that even happen? So
thank you so much. I just want to say one thing real quick, adding to that, is that all of us will always have, like, the way that, like I say, God's created our brains, right? It's to protect us, right? The motivational triad is for us to seek pleasure, avoid pain, and conserve energy, right? And that's good, because that's how we've all survived for all this time. That's how humans made it this far, right? Because we were able to run away from the lion or run away from the guy with the knife. Our brain has that to protect us. But if you're in this space, if you're trying to do something new, like build a business, be a coach, your brain will also see that as danger. It will see that as the lion. So you have to use the higher part of your brain, the prefrontal cortex. I'm not going to get into the science now, but you have to get into the higher part of your brain and just realize, you know what? That's my brain trying to protect me. I'm going to do it anyway, right? Like, I know I'm afraid, I'm going to do it anyway, right? Like, my brain's just trying to protect me, I'm going to do it anyway. And it's okay to feel scared. Like, I think courage is taking action in spite of fear. Courage is not having fear. It's courage is having fear, but taking action in spite of it, right? So, like, if you are feeling afraid, if you're feeling like you want to save the world, but you don't know where to start, like, start taking one small action. Be afraid. Be okay with being imperfect. It's normal. If you're not feeling afraid, if you're not feeling like you're not doing good enough or big enough, like, you're on the right track. That's how you end up doing big things.
And that's perfect, because that's what it is, right? Take action. And I saw your other video the other day, and you said, it didn't happen just because, but it happened because I was consistent. And I was like, that's so cool, because you have to show up. Just showing up is half of the game, right? And that is what the gurus teach us. We have so many coaches out there that share anything.
Yeah.
Nothing that you have shared with us is new that people haven't heard, because everybody has gone through and heard this message, if you will. However, the problem is how they take this message and repurpose it, right? So for those people.
Well, actually, I disagree. I don't think anyone said what I've said before. I'm totally kidding. No, it's true, right? It's like, we can hear these concepts. I mean, I do think what I say is a little different, but we all do hear these concepts. But that's the thing. We let it in one ear and we let it out the other, right? And so it's like finding that person. I think what's really important is finding someone who you resonate with, right? Because like you said, it's true, right? A lot of people can give this information, but then if you just take it in, if you consume it again and you don't do anything about it, it's not going to do anything for you. So find people who inspire you to create that belief, to take that action, and then follow them and do every single thing that they tell you to do, right? Like, that's my advice to anyone. Like find people you look up to, role models, model their success, and that's the fastest way for you to get out of your own way.
Perfect. Find 5 people. So this is a to-do action for everybody. Find 5 people that inspire you, and then follow what they are doing, because it is going. What does it say? Success leaves clues, right? That's
success leaves clues. And like, I love that line. I think that's one of the things that really helped me, because I used to always think, like, what would Tony do in this situation, right? Like Tony Robbins, like, he wouldn't just make excuses. He wouldn't say, like, oh, I want to save the whole world, so I'm just going to sit here for 1 year and thinking about how I can do it. No, he would just get out and start helping people, And that's what you have to do. It's like, we all go through that phase of the personal development rabbit hole where it's like, we want to save the whole world and everything's going to be rainbows and daisies and this and that. But it's like, when you actually go out and start helping people, that's when you'll realize, okay, this is what I can help people with. This is what I should focus on. And then you can build along the way and branch out along the way, But success leaves clues is such a big thing, because, follow people, model people who have the results that you have, get close to them, work with them, so you can get the same results, right? Another thing I want to say is, don't ever follow advice from people who don't have the same results you have in that area of your life, right? Like, for example, for business, if you're like, you can love your family, respect your family, right? Or like, let's say you have a friend who you really love and respect. And let's say this friend says, you know what, I don't think this coaching business is a good idea. And they themselves don't have a business. They've never done coaching. They don't, right? Like, is that someone that you want to take business advice from? You can still love and respect them, right? You don't have to, defend yourself or hate them, but you can take their advice respectfully and then it's like, and like let it out the other ear. You want to get advice, you want to get coaching from people who are doing what you want to do. So like, for example, if you want a successful coaching business, you need to get advice and help from someone who has the results that you want. So you can get there faster and easier by listening to them, right? I think that's something that's something that a lot of people aren't conscious of, right? They're taking advice from all these different people. It's like, wait, does that person actually have the result that I would want for myself? That's an important question to ask yourself.
So do you have a coach?
Yes, I do. I have several coaches, like coaching programs and courses. There's so many people I work with, so many friends that I have that have become like coaches for me. Like, we've just become best friends, like just getting to know each other in this space. And then I'll coach them on certain things. They'll coach me on certain things. And so, yeah, I'm coaching myself every single day as well, right? Like, coaching just isn't about someone else telling you what to do. I think coaching is really helping someone help themselves. I think that's what coaching is in a nutshell, if I could describe it. But I coach myself all the time. Like, I manage my brain, I manage my thoughts. And it doesn't mean that it doesn't mean that I'm perfect. It doesn't mean that I don't have my bad days. Like, we all experience negative emotion and positive emotion. It's a human experience, but it's what we do. It's how we respond to those that really matter, right? It's like, what results are we going to create from that really matters. And so, like, coaching yourself is just as important as getting coaching from someone else. And if someone else can show you how to do that, then all the better, right? Like, those are the people that you want to work with.
All right. So there you go. You've heard it. Now, Dr. Wasi, how do we find you?
Go to my Facebook. It's actually DrWasi, DrWasi. I actually added the title doctor there when I won that award from Dean Graziosi. When he heard my story, he was like, you got to put doctor on there because that's your story. Like, that's going to make it really interesting. Before it was just my first name. So I added it on there, and it does spark interest. It sparks curiosity because people want to know, wait a minute, what's going on here? You're a coach? And so my Facebook profile, Dr. Wasi. People type that in the search bar. It's a public profile. People will find me. They'll find all of my videos there. They'll find my Facebook group links there. I have a Facebook group called 6-Figure Coach Secrets as of now. But yeah, just go to my profile and you'll find all my information there about my program. You can always shoot me a message and I'll be happy to connect with you guys.
Now, is this something that you are only on Facebook, or are you on other social media platforms?
So I started an Instagram account a few months ago for another launch that I was doing for another program for some partners, but I'm not really active on that anymore. I kind of have the account there, but I'm not doing anything with it. I believe on the focusing on one platform, like especially with business, I believe in the power of focus. So I've decided I'm only going to be using Facebook till I hit my first $1 million. So like that's why I'm only on that one platform. On Instagram, I do have an account, but I'm not even active on it. So I'm not really going to even promote it. It's not useful right now, but in the future, as I expand, as I continue to branch out, of course, I'll be on all the other platforms. And people can find me on there too. But right now, Facebook is the best place to find me.
So I have to ask you this because you opened the door. What's your deadline on becoming a millionaire?
That's an interesting goal. So my actual deadline is definitely by May.
Tell this to the public, so you better be careful, everybody.
Yeah, May 2021.
Awesome. All right. So
yeah.
We'll hold you accountable and we'll have a Facebook party here.
We will. Hopefully it'll be before then, but I gave you guys a public deadline. That's a little further. So maybe 2021 for sure.
It's going to safe here.
God willing.
Okay. All right. So folks, this has been a very interesting interview because Dr. Wasi is, like I said, he's a turned physician into a coach. And you know what? I've seen his videos and he's very, very interesting. And I'll tell you one thing, he's a coach that doesn't sugarcoat. He's going to give you a kick in the pants, and if you're ready for that, be sure to look him up, because if you want results, that's what you're going to get from, and he's not going to sugarcoat it. So I'm not saying that because he's harsh, I'm just saying that he wants you to have the same results that he's having. And so, and if you like this channel and you like this thing, we are always on Mondays at 9 a.m. Central, and we'll be here with another guest and another story, which is going to be impactful and funny, and it's going to teach us a few things. So, ladies and gentlemen, have a good night. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Munira's Musings with your host, Munira Zahabi. If you enjoyed our show, please share and subscribe to this channel. And for more content, please join our Facebook group.